Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another episode of our preview series, show in which we look at the next Arsenal fixture on the calendar. Today's show is all about Arsenal's game against Leicester City at the King Power Stadium tomorrow. A really interesting game, of course, because Leicester are very unpredictable. Meanwhile, Arsenal have got all the pressure on themselves to try and get a result on the road once again after that dramatic late win against Aston Villa last week. As always, for our preview shows, we're joined by three fantastic members of our Discord server. Let's introduce you to them now. First of all, it's Dom. How you doing, Dom? You good, Joel?
Yeah, I'm very good, thanks. Hope you're good. Hope you're well. Hope everyone's feeling good. Looking forward to the game. Can't
Yeah,
wait.
absolutely, mate. Absolutely, we are. It's weird when Arsenal have a game in midweek now. It's like it's dragging all the way through to the weekend again. You're just trying to count down the days to the next fixture, but it's here, and we're very happy for it. We're also joined by Garrett. How you doing, Garrett? You good, Joel?
Yeah, I'm good, Tom. Thanks for having me back on. Yeah, looking forward to having a chat about the game.
Absolutely, mate. Pleasure as always. And finally, making his debut and completing our quartet today, it's James. How you doing, James?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on, Tom.
Absolute pleasure. Where are you joining us from, James?
Indiana in the United States.
Wow,
obviously.
Nice. I did detect a twang, so I was curious. So yes, but thank you so much for jumping on for the first time. Always a great one to have a debutant on as well. We had plenty of new faces over the last year or so it's great to add a new one. And speaking of adding new faces, Aaron Knowles, thank you so much for joining up as a member as well in the chat box. Thank you and welcome to the TGT community. 51st President, I'll be talking all about Gooner Palooza at the end of the show. So for our US-based listeners, make sure you stick around because I've got some US-based news to talk about at the end of the show. But first of all, Arsenal-Leicester. Dom, how are we feeling about this one?
Do you know what? I have no idea because we don't know which Leicester's going to turn up. So I think it's one of those where we've got to really think about what we do and which we always do. It's been the theme of our season pretty much. Be wary of what the opponent can do, but make sure that we bring our put our best foot forward. I don't know. I've been really surprised by Leicester for good reasons and for bad reasons in recent weeks. So yeah, honestly, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this game, but yeah, as always, pretty quietly confident that we'll go out there and do something. But yeah, just don't know what Leicester's going to turn up.
Yeah, you don't. It's very true. They have been a very up and down side so far this season. Garrett, how are you kind of feeling ahead of this approach?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit, apprehensive as well. A bit like Dom, not really sure what's going to happen. I mean, if the Leicester that showed up at Old Trafford show up again, I mean, I think they were unlucky not to score in the first half. I think they really were. I mean, De Gea pulled off some great saves, and add the factor that they're now going to be at home against us. I think we will have the defense will be under pressure. Definitely, I don't think this is going to be an easy game. I think we need to start strong, but I think the manner in which we won the last game, I think, really will have fired the lads.
Yeah, that kind of momentum. I mean, I was speaking about this with some of the guys after the game. I said, if we'd have won that comfortably, like 2-0, and just kind of eased to a win, maybe that wouldn't have given us the same kind of jolt that we've needed as this kind of really does fire us up. James, how are you feeling ahead of this trip?
I think I'd have to piggyback off what Garrett said, especially with how they looked in the first half in that game against United. And that was at Old Trafford, and we're going to Leicester, the King Power. So I think we have to be very wary. But I think if Maddison doesn't play, which is the rumor, I think our chances definitely increase in winning.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that we are nearing a position now, Dom, where most of the players that we've got in the squad are going to be available. Mikel Arteta was speaking in his press conference this morning saying that there might be a space for Thomas Partey in the squad. He has done a little bit of training, it turns out, which is really positive news. But there's an argument, I suppose, with Jorginho doing as well as he is, that maybe we shouldn't be risking Partey when we don't necessarily need to.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I see no reason to bring Partey back. I think if we were working with Lokonga, maybe even El Neni, then we might kind of risk Partey. But I think where we are, and with the replacement that we brought in Jorginho, I'd see no reason to rush Partey back. I don't even see any reason to give him any minutes unless there's some an injury to Jorginho maybe is the only reason I would involve Partey at all. So yeah, I hope he goes for Jorginho. Because I can't really see a good reason for going for Partey.
Yeah, I agree. And we'll come on to our lineups, but we've all gone for Jorginho as a bit of a spoiler, unsurprisingly so. Because just having someone there that's that good, the depth in the squad, Garrett, is proven to be such an asset this season. I remember the end of last season, we had about 3 or 4 kids, on the bench. And this time around, we've got Fabio Vieira, Smith Rowe back now, Partey hopefully be back, and I wouldn't think he'd start, but he'd be on the bench. You've got Gabriel Jesus very close to coming back as well, and I think only 2 or 3 weeks away potentially from seeing Jesus back in the squad. Defensively, you've got Kivior now in the team, Tierney and Tomiyasu are there, Holding still there. The depth gives us options this game actually, Garrett, kicks off a period of 23 days in which we have 7 games. That depth is going to be key, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And to be honest, I think our January transfer window, for the position that we're in now, I think it really went perfectly. I remember I was on the show, the phone-in show you had, and I was kind of pretty positive at the time. But the more I've got to think about it, Jorginho, like as good as Caicedo is, no doubt about that. Jorginho has experience. He has experience of winning. Look, that's what we're trying to do. So we need that. Trossard, maybe not to the same extent, winning stuff, but he's an experienced footballer, a very good footballer, and in great form. So yeah, I think this depth is exactly what we needed. And Jesus coming back, God, I'm pretty excited about that now. But I don't want to be rushed back. I want nobody to be rushed back. I don't want someone to come back and then get injured again. I know it can happen, and it does often happen when players come back from big injuries and surgery, especially. So yeah, look, now that we have the luxury of depth, look, big games, we need them there for sure. But where possible, I use the depth we've got.
I think, James, one of the big challenges Arteta has had this season, is when he's needed to rotate. He's not necessarily always done it, and some people have wanted to see more rotation than maybe he's been willing to give. Players like Kieran Tierney haven't been given too many minutes up until, of course, Jesus started. Eddie Nketiah was having to deal with minutes from the bench. Fabio Vieira arguably deserves more minutes than he's getting. We've not seen Jakub Kivior at all since he was brought in. Do you think Arteta can do more, or do you think he's managing it quite fine at the moment?
I think one of the biggest things that people talk about with Arteta has always been his ability to rotate, but also you have to look at, like you said, last year we ended the season with kids on the bench. We had 18, 19, 20-year-olds. Now, granted, you can also say that the best player on our team is a 21-year-old, I think, Saka. So now that just means that he doesn't have the same trust in them as he does with Saka and Martinelli, because they've proven that they need to be trusted. I think Vieira's getting there. It's just going to take some time, and it's rotation. He'll rotate. I definitely think luckily we got Sporting, like you were hoping for this morning, right? So yeah. I definitely think he'll rotate against them in the Europa League, and that'll be nice. I want to see Kivior play. Like I haven't even watched any of his highlights yet, and I'm excited to see him play.
Yeah, if I've got this magical power now to predict who we're going to be getting, I'm saying now we're going to beat Leicester. Where Man United are going to lose to Real Betis in the next round. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed. Sorry, James, go on.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. But I was going to say, we still can't say that you're out of the woods yet with your curse of going. One is not good enough. We need a streak to start. And I know you're going this weekend, right?
I love this. It's not, our members are no longer confined to just the chat box to come on the shows and tell me that this curse exists. I'm not having this. As I said after the Villa game, it's done. It's over. It's finished. I will be at the King Power Stadium tomorrow, and we will bring home the 3 points. And if we don't, I'm going to hide. I'm going to hide for a very long time. You mentioned Sporting, James. Dom, what do you make of that draw in the Europa League? Obviously, I mentioned that this 7-game, 23-day period is massively congested, but it's much better than, say, picking up a Juventus, in the next round, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And to be honest, I didn't have much of an opinion on it until you mentioned Sporting today, and then I thought, let me go and have a look and see who it could be. And we were talking a bit. You were talking a bit this morning about who we could have, and if we're gonna pick anyone, it probably would have been Sporting, but no easy games in this competition, and all that. We've got to be realistic, and again, going back to our depth, the fact that we can play arguably, well, not arguably, but we could play effectively a second string 11, full 11, and be pretty competitive. There's going to be a few people in there that don't have many games in their legs, but we could completely rotate and still put a pretty decent team out there. And we haven't been able to say that. I don't remember the last time I was able to say that as an Arsenal fan. So I remember looking at Liverpool and City, what they could do over kind of 2018-19 onwards. And it's the first time we could actually field a completely changed. We could change 11 and actually be competitive in most games. So, yeah, bring on Sporting and hopefully bring on some heavy rotation. And I agree. I really want to see Kivior play.
Yeah, I think it's the chance where we're going to get, hopefully, the opportunity to see him play. There's a piece out at the moment on Football London. I did an interview with Jose Miguel, who's a Portuguese football expert and sporting fan. He actually helps us out quite a lot on the channel with whenever we do a tactical breakdown on a Portuguese talent. And he described it as an impossible task for Sporting to get anything from this. They're not happy with that draw. It's probably the worst draw they could have got, other than obviously maybe Manchester United. But could they have played United? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. No, they couldn't have done because they had to go through in the... You see, from this morning, I don't know the rules for this. I haven't got a clue how this competition works, but they could have certainly got a much tougher test. Or they wouldn't have been able to get a much tougher test than us. So they aren't happy with that whatsoever. Garrett, just to get your thoughts, obviously, on the Europa League side of things and the fixture congestion as well. Sporting Lisbon, we haven't played them since 2018. We only managed to actually score one goal across the two fixtures. We drew 0-0 and won 1-0 in their grounds when we last played them. They're an interesting team. They're fourth in the Portuguese league at the moment, which when you look at the Portuguese league and the competitiveness of it, Sporting usually in the top three, if not the top two, and have been the last couple of years. They came second last season, won the league the year before that. They've declined since then. Are you pretty happy with that as an opponent?
Yeah, to be honest, I hadn't really looked too much at the possible opponents. I saw the names in there but I think regardless of who we got, obviously we couldn't get United, so that was one of them out. I mean, yeah, it's the best draw for what we got. I mean, yeah, like the likes of Juventus. I'm trying to think of even who the other ones are in there right now. I haven't been paying much attention to it, but like the likes of Juventus.
Neither am I, apparently.
Yeah. But no, it's good. I think yeah, we can afford to rotate pretty heavily. I'd like to see everybody get a game that's in a while. Tierney, Kivior, Holding. I mean, you do play together in training. Maybe swap out one. Maybe play Kivior and Siba, or we'll see what he does. But it'll be interesting. I think I'd like to see if we maybe change our style up a little bit, because obviously with Tierney in, he isn't of the same technical ability of Zinchenko. I mean, he's a great player in different aspects, of course, but technically he definitely isn't the same level. So I wonder, will we just go back to how Tierney has played for us for a few seasons, or would he continue this inverted role? So yeah, it's good. And I mean, look, matches for us to watch, so I'm happy. But yeah, look, just fingers crossed in the schedule that no one gets hurt. It's just what we can hope for.
Yeah, that is the worry, isn't it? It's the idea of and touch wood to everybody quick, because you don't want to talk about injuries right now. It's difficult, but we are on a track, James, where I think the Europa League in particular, with Jesus returning maybe in a couple of weeks, it could be a great opportunity to kind of ease him back into things, and maybe you can use the Europa League in that way. Do you think that's what Arteta could use it for?
If he's back, yeah, especially if he's ready. Now, like we said earlier, we don't want to rush players back, because just look at what happened to ESR when he came back. He played 10 minutes and then was out for another 3 weeks because he just strained a thigh muscle. If he's not 100%, I don't want him touching the field, because we need him in the long run. And he is, next to Saka, he's our best player.
And I should ask, because there's three things that I've got a reason why I'm going to ask this question. A, you're American. B, I've noticed two things in your background. One being a poster of Ramsdale. Two being, I think, is that an Invincibles era goalkeeper shirt? I think it might be.
I have no proof that it's legit. I had a friend that used to run a thrift store, and he got it for me. The crest in the middle does say Highbury, and it has the years that we were at Highbury.
Well, the O2 was the sponsor in that period. So
and that's autographed by Jens Lehmann.
Yeah, I thought it might have been Jens Lehmann. I do remember him in the orange. So a goalkeeper fan, are we, or is it just?
So I actually played keeper all my life through soccer, and that poster was made by a guy that a friend of mine found on Twitter named Dan Designs, and that save is actually from last year at Leicester.
Leicester,
really?
That's that save. Yeah, brilliant. I can pull it off the wall and show you.
How apt that works exactly perfectly. Sticking with the Europa League, then Matt Turner is going to get an opportunity to play again. You must be incredibly over the moon with how he's kind of really grown as a player this season. He was really doubted when he first came in. He did really well at the World Cup for yourselves as well. So you must be great to see him playing for Arsenal right now.
Yeah, I love it, and I loved I don't know if you saw it, but before he even put on an Arsenal shirt, he at his last game for I think it was the Revolution, is that who he played for before? He was signing autographs, and a kid had a Tottenham shirt on, and he would not sign an autograph for the kid, and I loved that. I think I retweeted it and everything. It was phenomenal. But yeah, I love seeing him actually grow, and especially grow with the American team, because he started playing really late in his life. So.
Yeah, he's the first player I managed to speak to in the mix zone since starting a new job, and he's a real genuine nice guy. Maybe it's just because he's not been properly media trained yet, so he's very talkative with us. But he was great to speak to. I don't know, Mike from the Goodness Pods also had a chat with him, which may have scarred him for life. But hopefully Turner will come. Maybe that's why he had his bit of a slow start at the club. It was all Mike's fault. But let's go to the lineups then. I think we're starting with Dom's. We are indeed. Dom, for the benefit of the audio listeners, talk us through 11. Explain your reasons why and your star player too.
Sure, no worries. So starting with Ramsdale in goal. Right back is Ben White, Saliba, Gabriel in the middle, and Zinchenko left back. Jorginho, let's call it defensive midfield. And then Xhaka and Odegaard in their normal positions. I've gone for Trossard and Nketiah Saka up top. I think most of it speaks for itself. As we've said, Jorginho starts for me. There's absolutely no reason to bring Partey back for this unless Jorginho's injured. I think everything else kind of speaks for itself. Maybe the only other one that I'd talk through is the Trossard thing, and also my star man. So I've gone for Trossard to start, but I've gone for Martinelli as a star man, because I just feel like he is going to come off the bench either to kind of help us towards victory, or to kind of make a difference and get us back in the game. I've just got a feeling that he's going to come off the bench and do something, contribute like as he did against Villa. So that's my team. I think not many surprises in there. I think I don't see a reason. I don't think this is a time to bring Tierney back in. Zinchenko is doing very well, and I actually do want to see a little bit more of that, of how that left-hand side is going to work with Trossard and Xhaka and Zinchenko, and how they all kind of work together. So I think the Leicester right-hand side is a bit of a concern. They've been doing quite well over there, but again, it depends which Leicester turns up. But so it'll be interesting to see how the right-hand side of Leicester impacts that left-hand side for us. I think this team is more than capable of going out there and doing a job, and I hope they do.
Good stuff. Garrett, talk us through yours, my friend.
Yeah, so I have gone with Zinchenko, Gabriel, Saliba, White, Jorginho midfield. Like Dom said, I really don't see any need to rush him. Originally, I did have Partey in by accident, but when I realised, I quickly changed that, because there's just no need. And I don't like Jorginho was great last game, so there's absolutely no need. Xhaka and Odegaard, pretty standard, and then up front, Martinelli, Nketiah, and Saka. I think after that goal Martinelli got last week, I think that'll have fired him back up, and I think he'll maybe have done enough to get the start this week. But I do think Saka will be the start player. I think he's kind of showing a bit of an edge to his game now. He's kind of not really taking any crap from people. You saw when Coutinho kind of took a nibble at him, he pushed him, and he was kind of, I don't know, I think that was a bit, he's just kind of putting a bit more into it, bringing a little different side to his game. And I think against a team like Leicester, whose defence is a bit suspect, I think. That's fair to say.
It's more than a bit. It's massively suspect, yeah.
I think Saka will shine. I could see him definitely scoring one and assisting one or two. And
he's. I think he's going to feature in a lot of people's fantasy teams, with it being a double game week for Arsenal as well. I'm not talking about fantasy all the while Ojo's top of the table. We just refuse. We're refusing to talk about fantasy. That's the most you're going to get out of me until he's knocked off his perch. So that's it. And James, I know you've gone with a very similar team, of course, but talk us through your selection and your star man as well.
Yeah, I went with the exact same team as Garrett. I mean, I don't see any reason to change what Arteta's been doing. I mean, aside from obviously Jorginho for party, but yeah, Ramsdale in goal, Zinchenko, Gabriel, Saliba, White, Georgie playing the the six there, Xhaka, Odegaard, and then the same front three that has been leading us all season. I went with Saliba as my star man because I think after that goal that Ollie scored in 5 minutes, he needs to be looking to bounce back and do a lot better than he has been. Everyone's talked about how he hasn't been playing his best since coming back from the World Cup. And yes, I agree. I think that he just needs to find that edge. And I don't know if it's maybe the contract situation looming in his back of his mind, but I hope that's not the case. But I went with him with my star man because he needs a bounce back game.
Yeah, absolutely. It was interesting actually seeing the interview that went up on the Arsenal website today with Saliba, him saying like he wants to win everything with Arsenal. I mean, I don't know how committal you can get without saying I want to, sign a new deal. It was as good as it could be regarding that. So I think that was obviously great to see. In terms of my team, a couple of changes, actually. I've taken Xhaka out for this one, brought Fabio Vieira into that position. I just think Xhaka's been off a little bit. And there's also the element of when you play Xhaka and Jorginho together, that lack of mobility in the midfield, I think, gets highlighted. If Xhaka starts, I don't have a problem with it, don't get me wrong. I just think if there's a game that you can bring Vieira in, I think it might be this one, especially ahead of a game in midweek against Everton at home, where you can then, I think, bring Xhaka in fairly confidently in that home game. I think Vieira did well when he came off the bench against Villa and certainly contributed to us getting that kind of final flourish that saw us win. Nketiah has played every single game so far since the World Cup, so I have no issue with moving Trossard into that centre forward role. I think also Nketiah had that massive chance he had, a couple of moments. I can't quite trust him at the moment if he's in that opportunity to put that chance away. And Trossard, I think, is still worthy of giving an opportunity to play. I think this gives us a really attacking lineup as well. And I think that if you're going to go to Leicester, a team that have shipped goals a lot throughout this season, I think there's a lot of opportunities here to see plenty of goals. But I don't think it'll be this, for the record. I think it'll be probably the same team that we saw. In fact, I think it'll probably be Garrett and James's team that we see tomorrow. I think that's probably the most likely lineup to come out. In terms of a star man, I've gone with Odegaard because I saw a tweet from Jamie Carragher. I don't know if you saw this as well today, talking about Player of the Year awards. Didn't even mention him, just mentioned Haaland and Rashford. And I'm thinking, hold on, who's top of the league and who's been arguably our best player all season? I don't know how he's not within a shout of being talked about in Player of the Year, but Odegaard needs to have a banger this weekend just so he can remind everybody of just how good he is. Right, let's go to predictions then. Chat box, time to get your score lines into the chat. Dom, we'll start with you. Scoreline and scorers, please.
Tight 2-1. And I'm going for Martinelli coming off the bench to score the winner, and starting things off with Ben White Screamer.
Lovely stuff. Stealing my ideas now. Stealing them. You're going to be forgetting how the Europa League works very soon. Garrett, tell us your scoreline and scorers, please.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the 3-1. I'm going to go with Saka, Martinelli, and Eddie to get one.
Lovely stuff. And James, finish us off, mate.
I'm going 3-0, and Nketiah with a header finally gets one in the back of the net with his head. And then I'm going to go Saka with a brace.
Lovely stuff. I think I had to predict the next 5 games, which I tell you what was a challenge. I think I went with 3-1 Arsenal. Obviously, I'll have to use a Dom special now and go for the Ben White Screamer and go for a couple of goals from Bukayo Saka as well, because I could really use him to pick up the points during this double game week for fantasy as well. So, yeah, I'm going to go with a 3-1 win. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat box. Rancy says 3-1 Arsenal, Saka, Trossard and Nketiah. Vlad says 3-1 as well. Saka, Eddie, Odegaard. Temmy's going for a nervy 3-2 Arsenal win. I'm not sure my heart could take that. Javier says 2-1 Arsenal, Eddie and Nketiah with a penalty. Viraj's going for a 4-2 Arsenal. Himney's going for a 3-1 Odegaard, Saka, Tomiyasu. So Hill's going for a 2-0. DJ D10's going for a 3-2 Arsenal win. Dan says 5-0, Saka with 5 goals because I've got him as my triple captain. How selfish. Aaron says 4-1 Arsenal, Eddie, Saka and Martinelli. And Aaron, of course, is one of our brand new members, as is Kurt Gerolds. Or Gerolds. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to pronounce that correctly. It looks Scandinavian. So I'm hoping I'm doing that the justice. But do, Kurt, tell me if I've made you look an absolute mug and give me the phonetics of that. I'd appreciate it. Aditya says 3-0 Saka, Odegaard, Trossard. And Kurt, our brand new member, says 3-1 Saka, Trossard, and Odegaard as well. I'll round up some more predictions as we close off the show. Before I go anywhere, though, a quick announcement, and that is that on the weekend of Friday, April 21st through to Sunday, April 22nd, and yeah, I'm pretty sure, 23rd, sorry, Sunday 23rd, all the way through that weekend. I'm having a mare today, I'll tell you. But we've got a fantastic event going on in Chicago called Gooner Palooza, all organised by Arsenal America and specifically the Chicago Gooners. I've been very, very kindly invited to take part in a live podcast that we're going to be doing alongside Elliot and Paul from the Arsenal Vision. Our good friend John, used to be Miami John, now he's moved to Chicago and he's Chicago John, is going to be joining me on my side for our TGT representative. And it's all going to be hosted by some guy called Mike from the Gooners pod. So it's going to be a fantastic event across 3 days. Fingers crossed the Arsenal-Southampton game will also be going ahead. It's that annoying fixture that is completely dependent on A, them getting knocked out in the FA Cup before the semi-finals, and B, us progressing to the quarterfinals of the Europa League as well, which after we drew Sporting, I'm quite hopeful of. But that's probably going to be on the Sunday. But the link to the event for Gooner Palooza is in the description. I'm going to be talking about this more in tomorrow mornings, but I was aware that because I'm doing this in the evening, there's a lot more US-based listeners tuning in for this show than there would be in the morning show. But if you are able to attend and you're in the US or you're able to go to the US over the weekend of April 21st through to April 23rd, do get involved. Tickets are limited, so do make sure you get them before they miss or they run out. So that would be great. But there you go. If you want any information about that, do send me a DM and I'll try and help you with anything that you need. I can't reserve tickets, so please don't come to me say, make sure you get me a ticket. Just go buy them, but do ask if you've got any questions. Anyway, a massive thank you to my brilliant panel of guests tonight. Dom, thank you for your time, mate. As always, tell people where they can find you.
Yeah, no worries, Tom. Thanks for having me on again. You can find me streaming my DJ sets on Twitch. I'm at Dom C the DJ everywhere. Give me a follow, jump in when you see me go online. And I'll be probably on that sofa behind me trying to catch the games over the next few weeks. That's about it, really.
Absolutely lovely stuff. You need to check out Sub Focus's new tune that's dropped today, Dom, if you haven't already. Vibration, it's called. Very good. Very good indeed. I'll send you a link to it later. It's a proper anthem of a track, is what it is. Garrett, thank you for your time, my friend. As always, tell people where they can find you.
Yeah, cheers, Tom. Thanks for having me on. It was a good chat. You can find me in the Discord. So by all means, join up and get in there.
Absolutely. He's well trained, is Garrett, these days. He knows exactly what to say and when to say it. And lastly, James, fantastic debut, mate. Really, really did well. Thank you so much for taking the courage to jump on. I know it can be a bit nervy coming on the first time, but I thought you did fantastic. Tell people where they can find you, fella.
No, yeah, I really appreciate you doing this. It's nice that we get just random people on here to join in the conversation. But just find me in the Discord server. I'm Ginger Gooner.
There you go. I wonder why.
It doesn't show, does it?
It's the same as the shirt as well. You just love the colour orange. That's the way that it goes. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in the chat box. Appreciate your time. Make sure you give much love to my three fantastic panelists today. They really were really good. As I said, Gooner Palooza. I saw a comment earlier on from 51st President. Says, hey, Tom, how much for a TGT swag are you bringing with you to Gooner Palooza? I'm flying in from Vegas and want to snag one of those hats while I drink the old style and Malort. Now, I've heard a lot about this Malort. James, you're shaking your head. Tell me about this Malort. What is it?
I've only ever had it one time, and it's not like it doesn't make you want to throw up, but it is not something good. And I love beer, so old style is not good either. So I don't even know why he said either of those things. They're just Chicago staples that suck.
Well, Chicago is going to be where we're at, and I imagine that I'm going to get plied with some of this stuff. I have been warned by several people, and as soon as I said the word and I saw James shaking his head, it didn't fill me with any more courage than I've already got about it. So yeah, I'll have to report back as to how that goes. Thank you everybody for listening. Appreciate your time. Do drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Have a fantastic evening, weekend. I'll be back tomorrow morning, of course, at 8 a.m. and then we'll be breaking down all the reaction from the game against Leicester on Sunday morning as well, with plenty more content to come to. Have a good day, have a good evening, have a good morning, wherever you happen to be in the world. And as always, up the Arsenal.